And this is the Sell a House Wholesale Real Estate Investing number 152 on a Freedom Friday, August 14th, 2015. And I am Paul Romero, and I want to welcome everyone here, the Property Noodlers especially, the team, the animals, the ones that are making it happen, and our field general, Mr. John Leister. Good morning, or good day. Sorry.
Good day, sir. Happy rising. It's exciting. I'm very excited to be here, and I realize, wait, I got to switch my tagline. There we go. No, wait. Okay, now it's the right one. Sorry about that, folks. I wanted to make sure that I was giving you my contact information because I love hearing from the people that catch us on these hangouts. I am John Leister, field general of the Noodlers, along with Paul Romero. I don't know. Do we have a title for you yet? I'm the Supreme Allied Commander of my team in the field. What would you be, Paul, in this awesome Noodler system that we've developed here?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I don't know exactly where I would take that.
Okay, well, I want an answer by new op day.
Well, think on it. We need to put a God, I can't even think here. What do you call those things? You need to put a title on it.
No, bringing it back to like where I got the idea for the Supreme Allied Commander of the forces in the field is, lately I've been reading books on World War II generals, and I'm fascinated with the life and legacy of General George Patton. I mean, these people that were, whether or not, whatever your political affiliation is, whatever your theory is on World War II, we can't deny that some of the men that fought that war were natural leaders and had the ability to gain the respect and the loyalty of their men and be able to get out there and get millions of soldiers and hundreds of thousands of people to follow them and follow them to their deaths. And the reason I bring this up is because I think an important part about personal development, and we say this on these hangouts all the time, the reason we always talk about these type of things here on a a wholesale real estate discussion is because, it's about who you are as a person, right? So the reason I bring this up is because we want to learn, everybody should strive to learn to be a leader of some sorts. Because when you're out there negotiating deals, you're ultimately leading the person, the seller, you're leading them to the closing. You're leading them to the answer yes to your offer. I'm not necessarily meaning, it might not be you, that you might not be the kind of person that can go out there and command an army of men to go out there and noodle properties for you. However, you do have to have the abilities to get someone to listen to you now and again. And I just think personal development, personal growth, as we always say, is an important thing. And just throwing that in there, that I find it very interesting lately that I've been reading about World War II generals, and I'm getting a lot out of doing that just because how these men live their lives as an example to others. And because they're walking the walk and not just talking the talk, they get people to follow. And all that plays into being successful in wholesale real estate, in investing, property flipping, whatever you do is you've got to walk the walk and not just talk the talk. That's just my opening thought for this morning, since we were talking about me being the Supreme Allied Commander of the Noodlers.
Well, as you know, John, I've been listening to the CD set that I bought on the Napoleon Hill's Laws of Success in 16 Lessons. And one of the most powerful segments in there is the section on leadership and initiative. And that is a very, very powerful section of, how to become a successful person in anything, in any area, in any and all areas of life, is, your leadership abilities, which sort of are generated through your initiative. Because you don't just get appointed Supreme Allied Commander. Somebody doesn't just pick you off the streets or out of the classroom and say, hey, you're going to be Supreme Allied Commander of the, you know what I'm saying? You have to work your way towards that. And nobody's really going to step up in your life anywhere along the way and say, hey, you know what? You've been doing a great job and we're going to promote you. You know, that's a rarity. You know, generally, you have to be doing a great job. You have to know you're doing a great job. You have to take the initiative to learn about, first of all, you know, how to manage and take care of the people that are below you. And that's the leadership part of it. But as the leadership part of it, you also need to also start learning about, you know, 2 levels above you, so that you can be the person who gains the respect of those below you by as someone who can make a decision based on your own information and knowledge of, you know, what's above you and, you know, everything below you. And I mean, in order to even get there, you know, you have to know, you know, if you've got a number of different types of areas that are people that are below you, you only got into that leadership role because you know all those areas, you know, pretty much better than anyone that's in those areas right now. And then being able to make a decision when something, and this is one of the things that this goes back to the military side as well too a little bit. You know, I'm going to throw this towards the military analogy here, but if you're out in battle and, you know, your communications get cut off from your superiors and you're the leader of, you know, your troops here, you got to make the decision. You know, are we going to go forward? Are we going to run? You know, what are we going to do? Are we going to hunker down? You know what I'm saying? You have to make that decision. And if you have studied and you know, the 2 levels above you in what they kind of think and how they would maybe sort of react to these kinds of things, you can make a decision. It might not be 100% right, but it's going to be damn close enough to being right that everybody below you is going to be willing to step up and follow your instruction and be led by you into whatever decision you had just made. And they're going to believe in your decision. And so that initiative and leadership is a huge thing. And the initiative of learning, you know, 2 levels above you, now that puts you in a position where now, hey, you know, you made a decision. It was the right thing to do. You know, you've shown that you have the ability to be someone who can function at the next level. And that's how you get moved up to the next level of leadership.
Oh yeah, exactly. I've been listening to the Napoleon Hill Laws of Success as well, and Paul had actually played me that little part, a little bit of the part where he talks about, you know, leadership in the military, and it happened to coincide with what I've been studying lately. And you know, to become a great leader, you need to study great leaders. And as Paul said too, to become someone in that position, you have to understand the different levels above you. You have to understand even the different levels below you and have an overall general knowledge of what's going on out there. And what Paul and I bring to the table with our Property Noodler team is experience, not only in the ability to gather leads and market to those leads so that we have the phones ringing, so we have the people to visit, so we have the calls to make, but it's also the experience to show you guys what to do, what to say, how to approach these people, how to answer the phone to these people, how to talk to them, how to read them. And beyond that, the knowledge and the confidence of what to do once they're in the game, once these people want to play ball with us and get under contract, you know, what next? Simple. We get them under contract and we put them through title. The great thing about it is that we have a team that follows us because they know that we know how to walk the walk. And that's a big, big difference, I think, to people that lead and that people who fail to lead, is that who are you listening to, right? Who are you following? Who do you get your information from? Who do you want to work with? Who do you want to learn from? You want to learn from be led by and work with people that know what it is they're doing out there, that knows how the business works, how the system works, and are already seeing success. Those are the people you want to listen to and work with, not the people who just talk about it, but the people that are doing it. And that's what's so awesome about our team is that, you know, there's Paul, myself, we have a partner, Will, and Kim, that kind of facilitate this thing for the noodlers and the people on our team, so we can provide them with quality content. And, you know, we bring this up, you know, quite often on these hangouts, but I love to throw this out there because we hear from we hear from quite a few people that never make it past the interview stage. It's crazy. You know, you show a willingness to want to do something, and then when it comes down to take action, so many people don't take action. But the people that do, they take action. They work with Paul and I. They're very successful because we see to it that they have everything and all the tools they need to be successful. It's just a matter of step 1, send us an email. Step 2, connect with us. Step 3, just take action and listen to the people that have been there and done that.
Step 1, send us an email. And Jose Flor, if you're watching, I am so sorry. I keep promising that I'm going to call you, and I'm out of town, semi on vacation, got a lot of things going on, and I just keep forgetting. But I'm going to call you today. Can't believe since Monday I've been trying to call this guy, and I keep freaking slipping my mind. And it's 8:30 at night, and all of a sudden I go, I forgot to call Jose again. Calling you today, man. You're there. So Wednesday I was talking. Wednesday I kind of gave you guys the what is it? What do you want to call this thing? Show number 151 on Wednesday. I went through sort of the evolution of Sell a House and Property Noodlers, how we got to where we are. And from my side of the story, John's is similar. It just starts off a little bit differently than mine, but obviously from the point in time where, you know, we met up, it's pretty much the same. But the reason why I bring that up is because that is, you know, when I talk about, you know, a 4-year struggle there, it really was 4 years, and it was, but it's 3 years. It's not even 3 years since we heard a certain bit of information. And that information was that, and it's so very real and true, and yet it's so unbelievable to so many people because of, you know, the education and the wiring and you know, the way that we think, the way that we've been taught, and what we've learned our entire lives. It's almost impossible for some people to even fathom this as real and true. And that is that you can become financially free in this world today in 3 years or less. And John and I right now in the system here, in the Property Noodler system and Sell a House Arizona and all that, from the day that we heard that piece of information to now, we're just shy of 3 years. Now, we're not financially free right now, but from where we started being, for myself, less than financially even stable, let alone free, to right now, I mean, I feel financially free. You know, I'm still out there having to work for my money, and getting into the definition of financial freedom is something we can do on another day here. But basically, I mean, it's really, you know, we're talking about the ability to do whatever you want, whenever you want, without having to work or depend on anybody else for money. And like I said, I mean, I'm not quite there yet because I do still have to work at this business to make the money. But I'm just pointing out that from where we came from to now, it is less than 3 years from hearing that piece of information. And you heard my story yesterday, or on Wednesday, of the struggle that it's been over 4 years, because it was a year that before I heard that information, so I'm not really counting that year. But it's been a huge struggle over that period of time, and we're almost there, and we are on the verge of actually achieving that financial freedom that is spoken about in, you know, that information that we heard there. And what we're trying to do here, and what we've created here, is a way for anybody who's interested in wholesale real estate, number one, and financial freedom, number two, to be able to fast track that, so that the 4-year struggle that we went through, you know, is cut down greatly. That's where I was going with that.
Absolutely. You know, it's like any business. If you're doing it on your own, and you don't have a system that produces a predictable outcome, you're only going to get 2-3 deals a year if you're lucky. It's a hobby at that point, and it's okay. It's okay if you want to make this a hobby and learn a little bit about real estate and flip a property or two. But I can tell you this from experience: it's not easy to go out there and find the motivated sellers. It's challenging. I love a challenge. I'm not saying it's difficult or hard, but for someone with no experience, someone that buys a couple of these programs online that make it sound so easy, anyone can do it, quite frankly, I'm going to call it out. It's BS. Not everyone can do it. Not everybody will do it. And most people are not going to know what the proper actions are to take. And if you're doing it on your own and think that you're going to do it on your own, you're in for a rude awakening. You're going to be one of those people that buy an online course, go through it, take a few actions, give up after a couple weeks, because I can guarantee you, for the most part, what they're going to tell you to do isn't going to work, and you're going to give up, and you're going to be one of those people putting blogs up online that it's wholesale real estate is a scam. No, not true. And that little piece of information that Paul said that we came into, which was the game changer, was the fact that it all comes down to who you are, and personal development is the key to success. So simple, yet so unbelievable to most people, that it really is that 8 to 10 inches of space between the ears that determine your success with everything in your life. And the truth of the matter is that you want to be successful and flip to freedom, flip houses and have financial freedom from flipping houses. You can't do it. But number one, you're not going to do it on your own. Guaranteed. You're not doing this by yourself. And you're going to have to have some sort of a system. And it starts with getting a deal. And if you're going to be a wholesaler, we're in the business of sales and marketing. We have to understand how to talk to people. And if you're not willing to go out there and learn how to talk to people and negotiate a deal, I don't see how you can be successful in wholesale real estate unless you have the ability to mastermind and put together a team to go out there and do the things that you're not necessarily good at. But how are you going to mastermind and put together a team if you don't know what that team is supposed to look like? We can help you with all that, basically. And it starts in the very beginning, where the rubber meets the road, how to take action and how to get a seller under contract.
Well, that's where, I mean, there's 3 pieces to a wholesale real estate deal. There's attracting the deal, there's closing the deal, and then there's landing the deal. And landing the deal is all wrapped around this right here. You are the one who has to land the deal. And if you can't land a deal, you ain't got squat. It doesn't matter what you've attracted. You could attract 1,000 deals. If you can't land one, what good are they? And if you can't land one, you can't close any of them. So what good are they? It's all about you, 100%. I mean, the key element is all about you. So that's why we go through all this all the time. That's why we're pounding this into everybody's head. And what's nice about having the system is, like John said, anybody who's going to go jumping into this is going to, could possibly have some great success. There's 1 in 1,000 that's going to be boom, but they're going to come from a sales and marketing background, most likely. They're going to be that kind of person going into it. The rest of you are going to go in there and, yeah, like John said, you're going to, mess around, do some things, maybe even have a little bit of success, maybe even be able to turn this into something that's a little bit successful on a regular basis. But it's not likely that it's going to go a much farther than that, because you're just, you find a comfort zone, and that's going to be where you land up. But for those who go in and test it out and then turn around and say, oh, that crap doesn't work, I tried that. Did you really try it? Because it does take a lot of effort. It does take a lot of work, and you really have to be constantly putting all your thoughts and effort towards it, and in trying to figure out each new additional piece that you can add to what you have. Everything grows very slowly over time, and so what our system offers is not just the ability to do all of those things, but also the support of being able to have somebody you can rely on, have somebody you can count on to say, hey, I don't get this, and help me out with this, and have somebody there. So that's a big, huge plus as well too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And one thing that I guess we've got about 10 minutes left here is there's a lot of ins and outs. Now, there's a whole other side to this, because we always talk about on these hangouts, not just the personal development, but for those of you who follow us regularly, we put a lot of emphasis on the acquisition of a property. Getting out there the leads to the motivated sellers, because to me, that's the huge part of the business. To me, it's even number one. You got to have inventory. Otherwise, if you don't have a product, what are you selling? Nothing. So, we place a lot of emphasis, excuse me, we place a lot of emphasis here on the art of acquisition. But there's another side to that, because once you acquire the property, you've got to sell that property. And, we've got a property right now. I bring this up because we've listed it on the MLS. MLS, a lot of you may not know what the hell in the world I'm talking about. Well, the MLS is the multiple listing service. That's what the realtors use. When you list when you get a realtor who's going to list your property, they put it on MLS. It's probably the number one place to get a property listed for exposure. And I don't know if this is true in all states. I know it's true in Arizona. You write your contract up a certain way where it states in there that the person that you're buying from is going to allow you to market the property. You can turn around and then list that property through a realtor on the MLS. I've got a great realtor who's pretty cheap. The reason I bring this up is because that in and of itself, the selling side, once you acquire the property, is a whole other system. So again, if you're doing this all on your own, you've not only got to spend your time to acquire the property, get it under contract, and in order to acquire the property, you've got to have leads. You've got to have lead generation and marketing, the ability to negotiate, but then turn around and now you've got to market and sell to buyers. If you're doing this on your own, where you're not just acquiring, but also and have to sell your own properties, you can only do so many deals in a year, and you might earn a living, but you're never going to build wealth. And to me, the entire purpose of being in business for yourself and even getting into wholesale real estate is to build a lifestyle based on abundance, build wealth, not just earn a living. So I can't stress enough the importance of the team. Now, the point of why I brought this up is because we've got a property listed right now. And we had a buyer come in and make an offer. We've had the property listed about 17 days now, and we had offers out the gate day one. We had about 3 offers because it's a great property, great price. We know it's going to attract investors, and that's why we put it on the MLS for that exposure. However, one of the first offers that came in, I recognized the name of the person who made the offer. And this is another reason why it's good to work with a team with experience, because I know our market, I know the players, and I know that this first offer that came in, I rejected it because of who was buying the property, because I happen to know that they don't close. They're another wholesaler who is in the habit of tying properties up and then reneging the contract at the end of the inspection period, meaning they're not closing the property. So I rejected that. It happens. You learn the game. You don't want to ever get the reputation for tying up a contract, tying up a property, and then not finding a buyer if that's your intention, or being in a position to close on the property yourself. It's bad business, gets you a bad reputation, and it's just not a habit you want to get into, and you don't want to be known for that. However, we did
play an MLS game like that. You better know your buyers very well and be picking out properties that you have real high expectations of them wanting.
Exactly. So, we got another offer in, and it seemed legit. Guy said he can close quick. We actually did something that we never do, and the only reason we did this is because we actually own the property. So it's a wholesale deal, but we're not in a race to close the contract because we own it. But we are in a race to get rid of it because, we don't make money till we move the inventory, right? So he actually canceled at the end of his 10-day inspection. This MLS game is a little bit newer to us. We've had some success on it. So basically, you want to eliminate the wholesalers being the ones you contract your properties to. And this is especially true when you've got 30 days to flip a contract. And that's a whole other piece that inexperience could lose you your deal. You've done all this work. You've gained this contract. You've negotiated and built a relationship with the seller. And you got to be very careful on who and how you sell the property on the other side, because you got to make sure that contract closes. So any thoughts on this, Paul?
Yeah, there's, there's a lot of, I never even got into the number of expensive lessons that we learned along the way in telling our story of how we got from, two construction workers to, a successful team here. But that absolutely, that right there in and of itself would be one of those extremely costly lessons that you would have to be paying and learning along the way on your own. One of those lessons which we ourselves pretty much paid the price for that education. And so having the team and having other people around you who have sort of, the been there, done that kind of thing can help you to, save a whole lot of money on, real life education, which I'll tell you, it costs a whole lot more than college does. and it can come at very inopportune times, right when you think you've got your first deal, or right when you think you might have your best deal ever, or right when you think you might have, a deal that you are really counting on to close because you got to get this stuff paid off. These lessons will pop up and you can lose a deal and you can get zero pay and you can be feeling really screwed and really distraught and disbelieving in this business. And that's really what can also, push a lot of people away from wholesale real estate, is the whole idea of, getting something all the way up to, through point A, through point B, and into point C, and something happening and having it blow up in your face. And, we run across a lot of deals where there's, extra, and you're going to run across a lot of deals too, where there's outside sort of, I don't know, I wouldn't call them forces, but there's other stuff going on that's associated with this property that most people, when they see this stuff, they run from, because it's just like, I ain't dealing with that, but we go after that stuff, and we do very well with putting it together when and this is one of the things that helps us get some deals. So we've got a lot of experience with a whole array of mistakes, a whole array of, something that comes in at the last minute that throws things off, doing something, the wrong way with thinking that we have a property sold to someone who's not an actual buyer. You know, a whole lot of different expensive lessons that we've already paid the price for that you wouldn't have to go through. And with that, it's 9 o'clock, John. So why don't you give us a final word and take us home?
My final word is this: it's best to learn from people who are out there doing it than to try to do it on your own, having no experience. And you know, like I said, Paul and I are open to working with really anybody who contacts us that shows a strong willingness to want to do this system, who's also open to learning. You know, and I'm just going to say that, you know, we've worked with some people in the past that think they know what they don't know, and basically aren't open to just following the instructions of experienced people that they can learn a thing or two from. And we've had people come and go on the team, and we wish them the best of luck when they leave. And we've watched a lot of people that turn around and not necessarily a whole lot, but turn around and then fail because they think they know what they don't know. And I'm just saying, you got to be open to learning, but you got to be open to learning from the right person, people that are out there really doing it. You know, be careful of who you're listening to. And with that, that's kind of my final thought. And I'll just finish this up with the prayer, which goes, "Oh, universe, I ask not for more riches, but for more wisdom with which to make better use of the riches given to me at birth, through the power to control and direct my own mind to whatever ends I may desire." So with that, have an amazing climactic ending of the strong and beginning of a new session, whatever we call it now, and we'll see you back here on New Op Day.
Yes, and make this a Freedom Friday and take a step towards achieving your financial freedom. With that, see you back here on New